We said no to shops that wanted to put a bar there. They had the people, they had the space, they even had the budget approved. But what they didn't have was the reason for the bar to be there or who it was for. So we passed. Hi, I'm Vlad from Smyze. We build autonomous robotic baristas and place them in locations globally. I spend every week evaluating hundreds of sites and seeing whether we're the right fit for our partners and how we can bring this automated concept to the market and make a success out of it. 3 objections come up before anything else. Every mall, every location operator, every facility manager has the same objections. First objection, it's a vending machine with an arm on it. Second objection, if I put it there, nobody's gonna use it if there's no person sitting next to it. Third objection, if I put it there, it takes away from my human workers on site. I'm going to take all 3 objections very seriously because 2 of them are just completely wrong. 1 of them is partially true, and by the end of this, I want you to know which is which. One more thing before I start. The location that I'm least happy with has millions of visitors per year. Millions. And it's still not one of our top ones. In this location, I will show you how all of these 3 objections are handled without me needing to convince you about it. Let's start with the first objection that normally stops deals. People won't order without a person being present. In practice, they will. The first initial hesitation from customers when it comes to automation is when they first approach it and they think, I'm not gonna order for this. The quality is not good and I just want a person to serve me a drink. But the second they see somebody else doing it, that hesitation just goes away immediately. Not gradually, immediately. And that's when the orders happen. And that shouldn't be surprising when we think about how customers are already ordering. They're ordering through screens, they're buying food, ordering drinks through screens, checking in flights through screens, checking in hotels, everything is done through screens. And your building has already trained them to do it. Here's the thing I want you to take out of this. When new technology adoption stalls, it's never about trust and it's never about the hesitation of using automation. In our case, with the autonomous robotic baristas, the adoption stalls because of 3 reasons. 1, the drink was not good. 2, the robot wasn't working when people approached it. And 3, it was just too complicated to use. From our experience, the customers don't actually reject automation. They reject automation that's unreliable, complicated to use, and produces a bad quality product in the end. That's the whole thing. If you're worried about customers not being ready to adopt automation, you're worrying about the wrong thing. Worry about whether they will be incentivized to come back again by placing the product in the right place and having good quality products inside of it. The second most important objection is that customers tell us it's just a vending machine with an arm on it. I understand where that comes from, and I don't think it's a stupid comparison. That's the closest reference point people have. Both are unstaffed, both are autonomous, and both of them serve products based on an order from a screen. But it's not that simple, and once you stand in front of it and use it, you will see what the real differences are. The difference is what happens after the order. One of 2 things happen. On one side, you have a vending machine that serves you a product that's been sitting there for a while, or it's just with a very low quality. On the other side, you have a robotic barista that freshly prepares your coffees and soft drinks, so you don't need to worry about whether the product has been sitting on shelf for a few weeks or whether the quality is just not there. It's literally prepared freshly in front of you so you can see what's actually happening. Why that matters commercially is different from why it matters technically. On one side, you have a product which customers go to when there's nothing else on offer, and that's a vending machine. On the other side, you have a bar that customers willingly choose to purchase a drink from. And that's where we come in. That's the difference. Now, for the final third objection, it takes away human work. This is the one that's half right, and I want to be precise about it. It's not built to replace a staff cafe. It's built to replace the spots a staff cafe couldn't cover. The off hours, the night shifts, the gaps in traffic, and overall the 24/7 demand. And human counters aren't meant for that. Let me be honest here. There are places where a person is just simply the better answer. And that's a place where people want to actually enjoy a service. Those are the spots that I'm not interested in going, and I will always say no during a call. And now for a half that's wrong. Human work doesn't disappear. We have a bunch of things that need to be taken care of during the day by background staff, and that's 30 minutes a day of cleaning, restocking, and just overall checkup on the bars. That's the main thing I clear up front because it's extremely important. Now we come to the 3 questions that are relevant, and they're all fair. First, what happens when the machine breaks down and how fast can we recover from it? I'm not gonna say it doesn't. It's a machine. Of course it will. However, you don't need to worry about it. We've designed a system that continuously monitors the bars and knows about problems before your building does. In case something does happen, it's normally just a quick fix, and our support team is always right there with you. We have the data to back it, we're fully transparent, and we're not going to keep you in the dark. We're in this together. Second question is whether the daily routine actually happens. We have 30 minutes a day that are extremely important for us, and it's not relevant what we discussed on a call, what was written on a contract, or how the whole thing was structured. It's important whether it's actually executed in practice. And this is one of the key factors whether location works or drops in sales over time. Third question is whether the site actually meets the requirements we need: fresh water, wastewater, and power connections. It's really simple. We define this beforehand and not during the installation. And now I come to the most interesting point that you're all curious about: the millions of visitors per year location that never worked out. It's not one of the best ones we've had, and it didn't work out, even though on paper it seemed perfect. There are two reasons why this happened, and neither of them was the category. First, it was positioned in a place where people were just passing through and didn't stop. That's naturally going to cause lower numbers. Second, there was no concept behind it: who it was for, why it was there, and what's the reason a customer will be buying drink from here instead of from another place. And the problem was millions of visitors passed through the site without the bar providing them any value. It was just sitting there in a spot where nobody can easily access it, nobody should access it, and nobody has the reason to go there. And that's why I failed. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't blame anyone for it. We were just testing different locations, and in this case, traffic told us the location will work, and we trusted that number. However, it turns out traffic doesn't decide anything on its own. Here's why I'm telling you this instead of a success story. Over the last 6 years of gathering experience, we realized that these numbers can often lie to us. That's why I'm here to make sure this doesn't happen on your site. We will sit down for an hour, make a plan together, and make sure this thing has a success. The site question is the one that's open, and that's the one worth talking about. So what should you do if you're skeptical? And that's the natural position to be in when you're facing new technologies such as these. 4 things. First, watch it operating in real time, not during an opening event, not when photographers are running around, just on a random Wednesday. Second is the commitment list of making sure this location works. In our business models, we are both partners together, so we have to make sure this runs. The checklist needs to be made like your team depends on it, because that actually does to make this thing a success. Third, ask us what happens when it breaks down and see how quickly we fix it. You don't need reassurances, you just need action. And fourth, judge it on the hours it covered and how much it actually earned. Don't judge it by the category, and don't judge it by the screens, because customers already settled that years ago when they started doing everything through screens. So don't worry about that. If you take one thing out of these last 10 minutes, is this one: customers do not reject automation. They only reject automation that's unreliable, complicated to use, and gives them a bad quality product in the end, which makes the decision in front of you a placement decision and not a category one. The question should be focused on their correct positioning and where our customers are actually asking for it. So if you're interested in implementing F&B automation at your location, we're here for you. Send me over your site, we can go through it and see how we can make this a success. Sometimes you may hear a no, but it's an honest no that I will tell you up front without you having to spend months down the line trying to figure out why this thing doesn't work. Your space is either earning or waiting. I'm Vlad, and see you in the next one.